Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. It's time to get fired up. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review the program. I'm your host, William Liu. Blake remains on the load management plan. So next up is Esfandiar Baraheni, a man who I call Coach, Ibrahima Kanate to my Virgil van Dijk at Score FC. A man who sometimes I mute, not going to lie, when you fire off 25 tweets an hour. You know, there's a reason for that.
You still got me on mute, don't you? I know you.
No. I took you off because you're on the show. And most importantly, a fellow Red, you'll never pod alone.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you coming through.
Thanks for getting the call up, Coach. You know?
You're my coach, man.
Listen.
The media game was incredible.
Yeah.
You know?
That was intense, man.
We took Blake down. We took Blake down. We had a good scheme. You drew up a nice play. I remember that. You drew at a timeout. I was drawing something up. He's like, "Nah, Coach, give me the clipboard." He was like LeBron and David Blatt. He's like, "Nah, man, give me the clipboard. Let me cook." I'm excited. I mean, not let me cook, to be clear. I did not draw a play for myself. I was already on the bench at that point, having scored my 3 points for that night. Listen, we will have more time for pleasantries, but we are joined on the line once again by a friend of the program, Dennis Schröder. Dennis, I hope you didn't hear much of that, man. I hope you didn't hear me drawing up plays, pretending to be a coach. You know, you don't want to see that. How you doing, Dennis?
I'm good. I heard it, unfortunately. But I'm good. I'm having an off day.
Yeah.
Eating right now.
Yeah.
And, glad to be on the show.
Yo, well, hold on. Before we go on, what's that shirt you're wearing? I think I might have seen that on Instagram. Okay, world champions, the German team. Okay.
Fire.
I see the Wagners. You know, I see you. I see who's the backup guard, man? He was kind of nice too. Behind you?
Modelo.
Yeah, he's nice.
Modelo.
Yeah.
He's nice. He played in Columbia College. Then Isaac Bonga, you guys know.
Yes.
Toronto.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of, talented guys who plays in Europe, EuroLeague, on the highest level.
Mm.
And, it was great times.
It was great times, man. Really enjoyed watching in the summertime. Okay, we got to catch up with you just first and foremost. How is life in Brooklyn right now? Have you had a chance to settle down, bring the family over, figure out where you're going to live? I mean, a lot happens when you get traded.
Right. Family is still in Toronto. I just came back from a road trip, 7-day road trip, and I'm in the hotel right now. Got a showing today for a house, an apartment, and hope it goes well, and then I will bring the family down here. And but organization is great. Teammates took me and made sure it's an easy transition. And I'm glad that I'm here now.
House hunting must be crazy in Brooklyn, man.
Yeah.
It must be wild. Man,
it's insane.
I wanted to ask you, just because I saw the picture of your son's birthday, Dennis Jr. celebrating his birthday. It kind of went viral on social media with the Raptors birthday cake and everybody wearing the Brooklyn Nets jerseys. What was the process behind that? Like, was he mad about that? Was he happy about that? Is he still a Raptors fan? What went into that picture?
I mean, Junior got every single jersey for the team I played for. So
okay,
it's no hard feelings. I think to play in this league and to represent all the teams in the NBA is it's the best thing ever. So wherever I played, and he wearing the jersey is proudful, for me, and we grateful that we experienced that. For me, when he has a Lakers jersey on or a Toronto Raptors jersey at the Brooklyn game, but, my name is on it, or whoever name, who he like Austin Reeves a lot, probably more than me. So as a player, but, I mean, it's no hard feelings. And he loves every team I played for. He always talks about it every single day. So, it's great.
It's good that there's no hard feelings. That's good.
No, I mean, it's good, man. Garrett Temple pulled up,
Yeah.
Your boy, GT,
GT.
Did he come to the birthday party wearing a suit too, or what, man? I just want to know what all.
I was waiting for that, man.
Is he coming to a kid's birthday party in a 3-piece suit,
No, he didn't have the suit on this time.
Yeah.
He's like Spider-Man. He's got to be in that suit. Okay, walk me through trade deadline day because, you know, we were supposed to have you on the show that day. It was scheduled. You were going to come on at 1:30. Unfortunately, the trade happened, and your whole life got flipped upside down. So we couldn't get you on the program. Obviously, very understandable. But walk me through that day. Like, where were you happening? How did you get the news?
I mean, we played, I think, in Charlotte, and then we came back at like 2, 3 in the morning. Was with my family, with wifey and my best friend. We ate. You know, my chef was there, and then we went to sleep at like, I don't know, 5 or something. Mm-hmm. And then my agent called me. He woke us up because we took a nap. Yeah. And he said, yo, you just got traded. And I heard a couple of teams, but I didn't expect Brooklyn, you know, to pursue me. And like I said, I'm very grateful. Brooklyn is probably one of the best, from the jersey-wise, one of the best. And I always pictured that, you know, like the black and white jerseys. So really grateful for that opportunity. And that was pretty much it.
So were you expecting like a move to happen or anything like that? I mean, it was a trade deadline. I know we asked you about it. You were always really chill about it. But, I mean, now that the trade actually did happen, like, were you expecting anything to happen? You know, did you want something to happen? Like, all those questions.
I heard a lot of things. I heard a lot of teams try to pursue. And but at the end of the day, I'm happy where I am now. Mm-hmm. I think the Toronto Raptors, great organization. You know, they did a great job. Darko, I mean, I know him, you know, since OKC days. So grateful for that opportunity. It didn't really work out for me, for the organization, but still very grateful. And hopefully, you know, they still go on their way. Wish them nothing but the best. And all my teammates who I played with, they're awesome. And hopefully they can do, you know, something special.
Dennis, I want to kind of go back to the summer in July when you were sort of still deciding your free agency destination and, you know, where you might go for this year. What was sort of the conversation with Toronto in terms of expectations, what was on the table, what you kind of wanted to do this year with the Raptors?
You know, I came off a historical summer with the national team. Yep. You know, first time ever winning a World Cup. That was pretty big time. And, you know, I was one of the pieces, you know, who played very well. I mean, all guys who played and touched the floor, even the guys who didn't play, was bought in. But, I mean, Coach Darko called me, like I said before, and he said, yo, I want you to be, you know, the same Dennis you was with the national team. But there wasn't really, you know, what the plan was, I believe, you know. But at the end of the day, I looked, you know, over the situation. Everything is fine, everything is cool, and Darko was at the birthday party as well. So
nice.
And a couple of assistant coaches. So I mean, it's no, you know, it didn't work out. It is what it is, but it would have been nice if I would have had, you know, what I mean, we did the first 3-4 games we played like that, but then switch changed, things changed. So I mean, like I said, I'm very grateful for that opportunity and you know, being in that organization because they did great for my family. All the things they do outside of basketball was great. And now I'm moving on. I'm in Brooklyn and try to, you know, make the playoffs here.
Okay, one last question on the Raps, and we'll move on. But, you know, we've seen so many changes in this season, right? We've seen Pascal. He's been with the organization for a long time. He's in Indiana. OG, he was with the Raptors, drafted him. Now he's in New York. You're gone as well. That's 3 of the 5 starters from day one. I've already moved on and changed teams, and a lot of the second unit guys have changed. some of the older guys left, Otto, Thad, pieces have moved on. I mean, those guys have been successful elsewhere, though. Like Pascal's doing well in Indiana. OG did really well in New York before he got hurt, and hopefully he's able to come back and be the same kind of guy. Why didn't it exactly work out? Because I think that's the question a lot of us had. Everyone thought coming into the season there was going to be a competitive team. You guys were going to try to make the playoffs, but it just didn't quite work. What was it that didn't click, you think?
I don't know. I'm wondering the same thing. We had so much talent in that, in that locker room. I'm not sure. I always say I'm comparing always with national team because national team is just or European basketball is just different than the NBA, and I understand that, and I understand that it's a players' league as well. I understand all those things. I've been 11 years in this league, so I understand all that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to winning teams, it always comes to chemistry and putting your egos to the side, I feel like. And I mean, it didn't work out for whatever reason. I was a part of it, so you gotta always look in the mirror, look at yourself, and try to be better for the next chapter. And but we had a lot of talent, in that locker room. We could have definitely made it work, but we didn't. So they broke us up, and now everybody else going to other teams and doing their thing. So, and I mean, the Raptors doing their thing too. Earned their pizza. The free pizza.
Do you get that? Like, would you?
I've seen that right away. Yeah.
Would you be a part of that? Like, does he get like a
hold on.
prorated pizza? Like,
hey, first off, I feel like Pascal should have got a slice.
Yeah.
It did. The third win came against Indiana. I feel like you were part of that 3-game. You should get a slice as well. It started with the win against Brooklyn too.
You're right. Yeah.
No, but seriously, like I know Darko was so big on like the dinners and you guys going out together as a group. We talked about that a lot on the show. When did it go from it's a dinner, 3 wins for a dinner, to 3 wins for a pizza party?
Yeah.
Because that's different. Like, is that something you guys talked about in the locker room? They're like, hey, we're gonna have a pizza party.
I think he said pizza from the start.
Oh, he did?
Did he?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not I'm not for sure, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think he did. He said pizza.
Yeah.
But that was his main thing. Every single time people made fun of him. I mean, I don't know. I like it. He's a big guy, believes on like family, and me and him get along, very well with, the family stuff. My wife, his wife, and I gotta give him that. I like that about him a lot.
I know, obviously the relationship you guys have is great, but this was obviously his first year as a head coach in the NBA, and you got to be a part of that. I guess through that experience, what do you think is something that he learned through this year, or something that he's maybe improved on as a coach from the time that, you guys were together?
I mean, assistant coach and head coaching job is 2 different things. We all know that. And as an assistant coach, you can, say a lot of things however you want, kind of. As a head coach, you really can't, and at the end of the day, he's doing a great job still. I always said it. You're doing a great job. They're playing well right now as well. And he is always, his X's and O's is great. He doing a great job right now. I'm happy for him, and he's probably gonna learn he learned already the last 5-6 months, whatever, how to become, a top 5, top 10, whatever coach in this league.
Well, we see the ball movement, right? That's something he talked about so much in the offseason, right? You guys want to play unselfish, move the ball a lot. And the last couple of games, we've seen the Raps, 37 assists, 35 assists. Like, in the NBA, that's pretty hard to do, to record that many assists. So you're seeing him come in and put in his system, which has been great. I think defensively, if the group played a little bit stronger, I think maybe, again, we wouldn't be in this position. But, it's tough. I got to transition, ask about you as well. It's not, totally polite just to only ask about what happened in the past. But How are you feeling? Like, what's the transition like? You guys got a new head coach. Kevin Ollie's taken over. What's been
another rookie head coach?
You got a new experience just like this. So, how are things in Brooklyn in terms of just a locker room and how you're settling in with the new coach?
I like Kevin. He's been a player for a long time in this league. Made it for himself as well, so he knows the game. I love that about, the people or the coaches who really have, sweat, blood, whatever, on this game and really know how we feeling and how, how things really are, and not just, talk about it and never, been on that same type of level.
Right.
So he understands. He played, 12 years, a lot of teams, but he played his ass off. You guys say that, every single time, every single game, and he wants us to play that way and wants us to play free. Wants to make the playoff, want to win, and I think that's all you can ask for, as a coach who believes in you and want to make sure you compete on the highest level, because if you don't do that and you BSing around, it's gonna hurt you and nobody else, kind of. And yeah, the message is clear. I think with the team, we still got to find ourselves, but we gotta do it now. And we had a couple of good games together, but when the ball's not falling, we still gotta be locked in on the defensive end. And if we do it, I don't know, since All-Star break, I think number 2, number 3 in defense, and we just gotta, keep doing that.
Is it funny to you that you're in a play-in race with a team that in the Toronto Raptors now? That you were just...
Raptors, yeah. It's the same. I don't know what they're trying to do, but
yeah. No, but with the Nets, like, the focus is to try to make the play-in and kind of get to the point where you guys have an established identity. Is it harder, I guess, because, new coach, new system, trying to figure things out on the fly?
It's still the same thing. I think, of course, new, but he been there the whole year, and he just said he want to switch a little, a few things up, because we think JV did a great job. He did a great job of how we want to play on the defense and offensive end. And Kevin, just did a little twist and said, this is what we want. And yeah, I think he's doing a great job, but we still got to help him. The assistant coach has got to help him. So he's in a new position, and we got to understand that as well.
All right. Last question for me. Well, actually, 2 more questions, but the new team. Who I know you got a Blu-ray table set up. You got a Blu-ray game set up. So I know it's something you talked about so much coming on this program, playing with guys in Toronto. Do you have a game set up already in Brooklyn now?
Man, listen, that's the most, or that's the how can I say it? Sorry, that's what I missed the most from the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, there's no game?
Nobody's playing Blu-ray?
They playing Blu-ray. It's 4 people, but it's not a good game. Not a good game, but it's low, if you understand.
You gotta put them on, man. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I hear you.
It's a lot of young guys, but at the same time, I still want to educate them about how the basketball, like the young guys, about basketball, about with the money situation financially. So I don't want to push nobody,
right.
But that's what I miss the most. Gary Temple, shout out to him. Chris Boucher, Bruce Brown, these guys, I miss that for sure.
Guys who had a little bit of money at least.
Yeah, who's the best in Toronto? Like,
and what?
Bure.
Me, I was the best.
Nice.
That's fair.
The better question is who's the worst.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
Oh, come on.
I can't answer that.
All right.
I can't answer that.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right, last question then. I know obviously we did a lot of these interviews. just wanted to say thank you. I caught up with you as well before the Brooklyn game when you guys were here in Toronto, just to say thank you as well. I know you took a lot of time. You called us from a lot of locations. I think you're having steak frites right now, so
you guys messed my food up. It's already cold now.
Listen, you always take time, so I wanted to say thank you from us at the Raptors show for coming on. Not even avoiding difficult subjects too. Sometimes we ask you some difficult things. Sometimes we have a good time as well. But did you have a message to just the rest of the listeners and also just the Raptors in general, fans wise, in terms of your time and just what you want to sign off on?
Man, listen. Like I said, I always, try to be the best human being I can and always reflect on life. And for the Raptors organization, for all the people, who believed in me and, brought me in, because that's not normal, to be in the NBA and to live that life every single day. I don't take it for granted. A lot of people just saying it, but I really mean it. So Toronto Raptors fans, the organization, everybody, I appreciate all of them. And I hope, you guys make the playoffs, and there's always love on this side. And maybe at some point, we can run it back, make it right. That's pretty much it.
There you go. All right, Dennis, next time we'll see you, you'll be in the play-in, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to see.
We're going to see. Dennis, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Dennis Schröder.
Shout out to Dennis, man.
Man, he's always made time for the program.
Yeah.
And just a personal story. It was like, I remember when he got signed, it was during Summer League. He couldn't fly to Toronto because it's a whole convoluted story, but didn't have the passport, whatever. Flew to Vegas instead to join and meet the team. So he was announced there. A lot of reporters had already moved on. Like, you were in Vegas. You guys had a good time.
It's true.
You guys dipped out. It was reporters-wise, it was me and Doug Smith and
Oren. Was Oren there?
Oren, I think it was right before him and Liban showed up, a.k.a. the off-strip boys, because they stayed off the strip.
Hey.
No A about that, man. That's anyway.
Yeah, I've heard the best food is off strip though. Anyways, whatever.
The best food, all they went to was Olive Garden. I'm not even kidding. Anyway, so I was there, and it was very lucky because there weren't that many reporters around. He did a virtual Zoom as well, which was helpful. I got to sit down with him for an interview for the Raptors show, and this wasn't like the weekly appearance, but it was just me getting to know him a little bit and just like getting to chat. And typically with these interviews, PR comes in, they're like, you got 15 minutes.
Right.
And when 12 minutes comes around, they come by and they tap their watch like Dame Lillard style. They're like, hey,
it's wrap it up time.
It's Dame time. It's Josh time. It's Phil time. Okay. No, but then Dennis was actually like waving them off, and he was like, no, it's cool. Like, I'm enjoying this conversation. And we just chatted. Whatever. It wasn't that long. It was like 20 minutes. After we wrapped up the interview, we were just walking through the hallways of the hotel that the Raptors were at. And we were trying to figure out essentially how to get out because it's like a labyrinth. And
I know what yeah.
Remember the ballroom and all that. Yeah. So I was chatting with him a little bit, him and Joel, his videographer, his friend who travels and lives with him. And they were just asking me questions. And typically speaking, media wise, once the interview's done, the player's like, all right, I'm gonna move on to my life. See ya. Yeah. Right. But they were actually asking me questions, and they were just kind of like, like, what do you do? How did you get started? And honestly, I never had a player like actually be curious about that. And most importantly to me, Dennis said at the very end, he's like, I really enjoyed the interview. And I hope that in some way that led to this opportunity where we're able to have him on the show. But that was very cool. I never had that level of access with anybody on a, show basis.
First of all, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show you that like vets are really important in this league. Because
totally, yeah.
He's a guy who's been in the league for 10 years now, doing his thing. And like you talk about his relationship with Garrett Temple, like having those type of players, not only in a locker room, but just to deal with media, to interact with them, to kind of give the point of view of a team is so important. It goes underrated all the time.
For sure.
And you look at like these other like younger teams that are trying without vets or whatnot. And like you need those older guys that are going to guide you. You need the old dude.
Well, totally. And I think, look, from
and he's not even old. Like I don't want to. Yeah,
I mean,
he's,
honestly,
he's like close to our age.
He's our age. Oh God, he's right in between the two of us. Yeah. But I think for Dennis, I think it's tricky because it's one thing to be like, hey, come here, do what you did in the summertime. That's a little difficult. First off, that group and this group, totally different settings, right? Playing for your country versus playing for an organization, again, totally different.
Yeah.
But it's also like he's played with the program for a long time. He knows these guys. He's older than these guys that he played with in Germany. It's easier for him to sort of like establish that bond, that connection. To step in day one, joining the team new as a leader is very difficult to do.
And when the team is going through 1,000,001 different changes.
He walked into a situation where there were a lot of existing problems.
It was like this is fine, the meme of the fire and everything around you. It's like, how are you?
And I think, look, the pitch was, come to Toronto, you're going to start for us. You're gonna play that way that you did in the World Cup. I mean, he did start, but eventually he was brought off the bench. And eventually the team changed in a different direction. You got to keep in mind, he came from the Lakers, come off a Western Conference Finals run. He's at an age and a point in his career where, obviously he wants to make money. He's grateful, like he said, but he's a competitor.
Yeah.
He come out the World Cup. He wants to compete. And that was the promised idea, was this team's going to try to win and try to compete. And it just didn't work out. And there's nothing deeper than that, quite frankly. There's no hard feelings, really. But still, I do feel like he was brought in under one pretense and the team went a different way.
Yeah.
And, of course, he was part of that team, so he could have done something about it.
100%.
But, I mean, it's not like we brought him in to be a franchise player or anything either, so it wasn't all down to him. Anyway, I'm still wondering why it didn't work out. I'm happy he's also wondering why it didn't work out, because they did have more talent than their record showed. But what you're saying?
I think there was so much turmoil, not even turmoil. Turmoil is like such a daunting word to throw at it, but there's just so many changes going around, right? And, switching out the coach, and you have the Pascal rumors, the OG stuff, and like you're not able to create that sort of camaraderie like you mentioned, right? Chemistry, putting the egos aside when there's a million other things around you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when he went to the bench, he actually played well. Like, he was productive.
That's the thing.
He was professional from, everything you see, him going to the tunnel and whatnot. Like, they did well with him coming off of the bench too.
He really did play really well in that role, and it instantly brought the bench from being, quite frankly, the least productive in the league to being respectable.
Yeah.
And now it's a totally different look, and I'm happy the bench is actually playing really well. And we'll talk about that more on the other side of this break, but I just thought that was he the ideal fit? No. But I think it was down to the organization. They lost Fred. They weren't expecting to lose Fred.
They had to find someone.
And then they instantly were like, all right, let's promise the next guy to start.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody was set up to succeed to start the season.
You look back at, it was always rumored in the summer, Gabe Vincent was another guy that was mentioned, right?
Sure,
and look at what Gabe Vincent's season is. It's,
he's just
right
been
off,
really hurt. Yeah.
Really injured, hasn't played for the Lakers. If we're going to go, apples to apples kind of comparison there, obviously Schroeder was much more productive for what Gabe has been for the Lakers. And so, based on what the expectation was for a guy who was signing on the MLE, coming into an organization, being asked to probably punch above his weight a little bit, I think he did well. In the 6 months that he was here, he did what he could with this team. And staying professional regardless of the role change and everything like that, that's super important.
It was kind of interesting. He did talk about a little bit, for the first 3 or 4 games, they did kind of play like they expected. But then something changed.
Yeah.
But then something changed.
I kind of want to go back and look at the game law. I don't know. You can't really look at a box score and say what changed, but I wonder what he thinks changed after 4 games.
Well, in any case, you look at the team now. It's only 3 members of the initial rotation are still in the rotation. Scotty, obviously, Jakob, they have not moved from the starting group. Gary, who started the season really slowly, was coming off the bench. And then Grady was on the team, but, he was kind of 10th man type of deal.
Right.
The rest of the whole rotation has changed. Head coach changed. Franchise players changed. And yet, the Raptors found a new way to win. So we're going to take this quick break to discuss that new version of the Raptors. But we appreciate Dennis for joining the show. And, we're going to take this break. I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. Welcome back to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Blue. Again, Blake Murphy is away for another week, at least, by the way. So we will continue to have new co-hosts cycling in and out. Appreciate to Lindsey Dunn for joining the program. I saw so much feedback. We love Lindsey. Lindsey brought great energy. When are you getting Lindsey back? Honestly, let's be real. The original plan was we're going to get Lindsey for Wednesday as well. So today, except for the fact that Lindsey messaged me over the weekend and was like, hey, well, I really appreciate coming on the show, but I can't do Wednesday anymore. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. What happened? And she's like, It's like, yo, I just got pulled to a different city. You know, I have to interview somebody. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll accommodate. We'll figure it out. Who are you going to interview, though, by the way? And she's like, yeah, it's Timothée Chalamet. So that's why Lindsay Dunn is not here. She is. We have lost our girl to Timothée Chalamet. This is it's a tough feeling, but yeah, we got you got to hit the on the microphone. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. No.
We did get obviously S to fill in. S was going to do Thursday and Friday. Slid in, did Wednesday. How do you feel being on the Raptors show after the first segment where you had to just instantly interview an NBA player? And you look great, by the way. You were chill. You were vibing.
You. Thank you. Thank you.
How do you feel?
I'm good, man. I'm appreciative of being here, and also like I gotta fill up to the cowboy boots of or cowgirl boots of Lindsay Dunn. You know what I mean?
Set the bar really high.
She was cooking. She was ready. So yeah, I'm ready to roll too. I appreciate you having me, man.
Oh no, this is the thing. Like I'm confident in every single one of the people that come on this program.
Hell yeah.
So I knew that, you had, I mean, look, listen, for people who don't know your CV, people don't know your resume, let me just open up the basketball reference page.
Okay.
No. I want you to do that. I'm going to open up the basketball reference page for S. What does it say on that page career-wise for you right now?
Oh, man. Okay. So if you're going to kind of let me list everything off,
Go
I graduated from the College of Sports Media. Shout out to CSM in 2020.
Nice.
Since then, I did content for The Score. Shout out to my people at The Score. Yeah.
Shouts to The Score,
Yeah. Hey,
if
former
you worked
alum.
in sports media in Toronto, you have worked in The Score.
Yeah. Former alum. Worked there for 2 years doing NBA content.
Yeah.
Worked for a company called SDPN as well.
Yeah.
But, on the side, been writing for Forbes, talking basketball and Raptors for Forbes, and doing some stuff for Bleacher Report, man. So now we're here at the Raptors show talking to you, man.
What about Raptors Republic, man?
Yes, shout out, bro. Listen. Raptors Republic is like a staple in the city. If you don't know Raptors Republic, obviously I do the YouTube stuff, recaps every night for it, and those guys, they're like I don't know, they're like the Ajax. Ajax.
Oh,
Ajax. They're like Ajax from soccer. Soccer reference. If anybody doesn't, they just cultivate talent and they put them out there.
What is this name? Zarar Ten Hag?
Oh my god! Yeah, exactly, man. So no, they're like an Ajax, man.
Yeah, he's crushed, by the way. To be clear.
Yes.
Give him full respect. I mean, look, listen. It's been great watching you come up. Almost out of nowhere, I'm not gonna lie.
Hey,
I was like, "Who is this guy?" He everywhere.
This Persian dude just talking about basketball now. What's going on?
No, but it's been great to see your rise. Obviously, ball. We're about to talk ball.
Yeah,
people get to know that part in particular as well. Obviously, you were on the show previously as well. When I was away, also trapped in the city, but not talking to Timothée Chalamet, to be clear. All right.
Okay, I have to say it's Chalamet.
It's Chalamet.
It's not Chalamet.
Whatever.
It's okay.
Honestly,
I had to say, Dune is coming out. I'm going to tap into Dune on Monday. He's obviously starring in Dune, so I was like,
I hope Lindsay also knew that because I think I'm saying that because that's how she was saying
it. That's gonna be a funny clip if it ever goes out.
Yeah. So, no, I'm just again happy you're here.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you. Anything you need. Guest-wise, we try to
I mean, look, you
what's up?
Out of all people, paved the way for a dude like me to even be able to do this. Allow him to gas his own CV up. This man make the meteoric rise to every single station and every single network. Doing Raptors content.
Yeah.
I used to tap into the 10 Things stuff you wrote for The Score. Like we were.
Yeah, I used to write
there.
10 Things too. So that's the big difference. The Raptors stopped winning 10 games, so I stopped.
I swear you got back to it, didn't you?
I wrote it the last couple of games because Grange was on the road, and they were like, "Will, please, can you just write about the sport you cover?" And I'm like, "Fine." Luckily, they won both.
I was gonna wait until the end of the week to gas you, but obviously you should know that you were. Listen, you helped pave the way in a lot of ways. We have a guest coming up tomorrow too, who also helped pave the way in a lot of ways too. And it's like, you guys have no idea how important it was for people like you to be able to pave the way for someone who, like a Persian dude to be able to pull up and do this. So, I'm very appreciative of that.
Thank you. You are now allowed to come on Thursday and Friday. No, I'm kidding. No, seriously, I appreciate you. That means a lot. Honestly, like I see the number one thing people come up to me and say are just like, hey, how did they let you do what you do?
I hear you.
And part of it, I'm like, okay, that's rude. But
no, but it's a compliment too.
They're like, it feels accessible. And I'm like, that's exactly the point. Like, that's how we can kind of connect on these things. Like, I'm not going to ever try to come across as like, I'm a basketball expert. I know hoops. I know X is better than everything else. I can't speak from a playing career perspective. Honestly, I didn't even go to sports media journalism school, but I want whoever listens to be able to like say, I feel like I know Will and I feel like I like him and I feel like we can just talk about this thing that we love, which is the Raptors, which is basketball in general.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Going from that humble perspective, we're now here and we are now going to talk about this Raptors team. 3 games in a row. The Raptors Twitter finally united.
Yes.
By the way, it was the most peaceful last 2 days.
That was beautiful. Twitter, right? Yeah. I mean, after like 55 games of going at each other, should the pick convey or not? And now it's like we're talking about pizza parties and pizza party meat. I'm still mad I wasn't here for the North of Brooklyn pizza, man. It's my favorite pizza. Shout out to the Killer Bee. Shout out to the Killer Bee.
Killer Bee upstairs, man. We had Killer Bee. We had the vodka verde. We had the margarita for
Margarita.
For Darko. Yeah. No, that's the most European thing from him. He's like, no, just margarita. I'm like, yeah, you know what? When I was in Italy, that's basically what it was.
Do you agree to the whole pineapple thing? Because I think I think it suits sometimes. You know.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Oh, come on.
Here's the thing with that. It's not my culture.
Okay, fair.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, yeah, you put pineapples in pizza. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. It tastes fine. If you're like, hey, would you put pineapples in, like, a bao? I'd be like, hell no. Could you put pineapples in a dumpling? I'll be like,
no, hell no. No way.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that. Okay.
So it's not my culture. That's all.
Fair. Yeah, nobody would. If anybody were to ask me, like, yo, can you put pineapples on a shawarma? I'd be like, hell, no way.
Wow,
absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, you guys inspired Al Pastor. You know that.
Did we?
Yeah. It was, well, not you guys specifically. I know you're not Lebanese, but a lot of Lebanese immigrants went to Mexico, and they brought along a lot of things, including, obviously, the rotating, you know.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So, like, a lot of that is actually inspired by the immigration that took place.
Wow.
Going to Mexico. And now Al Pastor is like a classic taco.
Yeah.
The food history.
Listen, you learn something new every day on the Raptors show.
That's what you listen for, man. Not actual hoop talk, because we keep pushing that apparently. Okay, so this is what I got for us.
Yeah. New
defensive strategy. We were talking about this upstairs preparing for this show.
Sure.
Raptors are playing in a way that, even though the last couple games they're still allowing 120, defensively they look a lot more solid, and that's been their issue all season, in addition to all the chemistry stuff. But mainly defense, which honestly manifests sometimes with the poor chemistry. Talk to me about the Raptors' new defensive identity, what you're seeing from there.
So, look, yes, small sample size, all that is 100% true. They've only played 3 games. Like, that is no question about that. But they have changed the strategy, and I've talked to Darko about this before. I went to the Nets game, and I kind of asked what the identity of this team could be defensively.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You asked, are you guys doing more nail help, providing more nail help on drives? And Darko's answer was, I cannot answer that.
Yeah, which I was like, gotcha. Yes,
gotcha. Let me ask in a more general way, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah. And look, I think the nail help is a big part of it because they're trying to limit paint points as much as possible. A couple of stats here before the break from January 1st. So this new iteration of the Toronto Raptors, with IQ and RJ and whatnot, since January 1st, they were 25th in opponents' points in the paint. So they were just bleeding points in the paint, allowing guys to get inside all the time. Now, post All-Star break, again, it's very early, 3 games, but only 14th. Mm-hmm. So they're limiting teams a lot more. And there's a couple of reasons to that. One, they're sending tons of help when a guy gets into the paint. Mm-hmm. One, like the main thing you look at here is help from the corners, which is a Nick Nurse staple.
Yes.
But that's neither here nor there. We're not going to go back into Nick Nurse basketball.
That's fine, man.
So they're helping off of the corners like crazy. Before the All-Star break, 17th in opponents' corner threes. After the All-Star break, they're 2nd. So they're allowing teams to shoot corner threes way more, but they're also limiting paint touches a lot more. And when a team gets into the paint, teams are shooting worse in the paint, but that's because there's tons of bodies around them. They're sending help. Jakob Poeltl has done an incredible job. Jakob's presence in general, and we'll see tonight if he ends up suiting up, but his presence as this backline help for them has been really, really helpful at the point of attack to be able to establish how this team can work. And, you look back at like the greatest Raptors teams ever, Marc Gasol, right? Mm-hmm. How he was able to kind of anchor that back line for them dictated how the perimeter defense was allowed to play too. And that's sort of happening now in the sense that he's better in space. Mm-hmm. He can guard a little bit better in space. There was a couple, and I know Tyrese Halliburton's hurt, so like that's kind of he had a couple of possessions.
I'm going to tell you that.
You're not wrong. Yeah. You're not wrong. Actually, there was a moment like right after the All-Star game where he came out and saw his family. He's like, "Yo, can we please leave these
these players are tired, man. Like, that's another conversation for another day, but that's how you fix the All-Star game, is not do as many things. When it comes to the Raptors, I think the big thing defensively is finding that identity and limiting points in the paint.
Yeah.
And the perimeter defense is something that it has to improve. But I do think they're actually, like, they're going through the process of improving that thing. And when you asked Darko, when I asked him last time, he said that they have a defensive boot camp. Like, they're going through a bit of a training camp. Like, like just breaking down the basics of, hey, we're trying to guard this way. We're trying to force guys right in certain situations. We're trying to force guys into help. And, you know, the nail help is a huge aspect of that. Nail help, for people who don't know, is like at the kind of like free throw line extended area. There's going to be guys who are pinching in whenever a player drives in.
Right.
And so, you know, Jimmy Butler is a great nail help player. Pascal Siakam used to be a really, really great nail help player. And now they're asking. Maybe not this year. Maybe not this year.
It's okay, don't worry.
Yeah.
His agent no longer listens to the show.
Yeah, I know. He probably taps into the Pacers show or whatever.
Locked on Pacers.
So that's why. That's why the Raptors are successful defensively, is they're sending so much more help.
I hear you.
And yeah, that's the success so far.
No, and I think it's a great point, because if you watch back on, especially last game against Indiana still scored 121. I mean, first off, that's on a night where Tyrese had 2 buckets, and they still scored 121. But the reason they scored 121 is because they had a lot of top-of-the-floor threes. So Pascal made like 2 or 3 from the top of the floor. Jalen Smith made a top-of-the-floor 3.
And Matherin
was hitting pull-ups that were ridiculous. Then they had Miles Turner to start the game, and that was one of the adjustments at halftime, was they switched up the matchups. They put Scottie on Miles Turner after halftime. Yeah. But before it was Jakob, and Jakob was providing that help. Turner just stepping out there for pick and pop threes. All of it was from the top of the floor. And when you go back to what Darko said at the start of the season, coming in defensively, he's like, I want to take away the paint, then I want to take it to the corners, and then if you got to live with some top of the floor threes, you do it. Right. You finally see that put into place. And I thought that was what was impressive about the Indiana game, was even on a night where they beat your coverage by hitting an obscene amount of top of the floor shots, you still were able to win and ultimately get stops when you needed to. I think that's really impressive. And I think that that's the number one reason they beat the Hawks, and that's the number one reason they beat the Pacers as well. I mean, you could do that against the Nets, but the Nets also started Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton. So they're begging for you to cramp the paint, basically. But it's you got to give Darko a lot of credit, you know?
I think it's funny because there was so much of a conversation, and I kind of wanted to ask Dennis about this, but in general, there was so much conversation about, is Darko ready to become a head coach? And I think you're finally seeing him sort of play and experiment with what this roster can be, because he has the tools necessary to do that.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about the defensive side of things, but right now, offensively, this team looks incredible just because of the cutting. I think shout out to Caitlin Cooper. She brought up 33 points off of cuts against the Pacers. Like, that's not regular.
That's not regular. Like, a regular amount is like 10 to 15.
Yeah. Actually, I have a cutting stat here.
Okay,
I think I can pull it up.
Cutting stat.
A cutting stat.
No one's hit me with a stat since Blake has left the show, by the way. So until Blake comes back in a week or two,
I got you.
We're gonna need people to come in with a stat, please.
Okay, look. So
hit me with a stat.
Right now, the Raptors are 7th in possessions.
Okay.
Like, just cutting possessions.
Cool.
8th in frequency and 10th in points in the paint. They are the only team, other than the Golden State Warriors and Sacramento Kings, that are top 10 in all of those categories. So
I like that.
And it's funny because the Golden State Warriors and Sacramento Kings sort of play the style the Raptors want to play.
But that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of, like, you saw at the start of the season, every play was they get it to Jakob in the post with Dennis bringing the ball up. Then Dennis would move off the ball, set a down screen for Pascal or Scottie to come lift for the ball. And they were just always running this over and over again. And it was like, to the point where I'm like, okay, I've seen this 20 times in this night. Like, the defense has seen that too. But, like, that was the identity that they wanted to bring. And, of course, you bring in new pieces, that helps a lot. Grady and I consider Grady a new piece because the start of the season wasn't ready.
Yeah, it's like adding a new rotation player.
It's exactly like that. Ochai has also shown to be a pretty good off-ball player, and we saw him score. He scored at least 10 of those points off of those cuts, off those 33. He was just only cutting because he never gets his own shot. Kelly, I think this floor spacing 5 has really changed a lot for them. You even saw it to some small degree with Jonte, but let's be honest, Kelly's on a totally different level.
Yeah.
They're bringing that identity to the team. And again, I think, you still got to figure out the defense, but the bigger picture for Darko was he came into a situation that was already messy, right? Last year was messy for the Raptors. Nick left, Fred left, but all of a sudden, there's still other messes to clean up.
A lot of cleanups on aisle whatever.
Yeah, so I feel like Darko at the start of it, especially I look back on it, had a lot of other things pulling at him.
Right.
Now, the team is pretty clear, and it's like you get a little bit more time to sort of like run with the same group. What can you do with it? I feel like this is the first time he gets to really like cook and go with the roster.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, I wish he had done a better job with the previous group because there was a way to make that thing work better than it did. And I think that should be a part of his season when you reflect on it. It's like, why couldn't you win with the previous group? Why couldn't you win more? Because it wasn't like that previous group should have been losing to Detroit or whatever, right? But at the same time, now that you have this chance to play with pieces that fit what you want to do, and also most of the politics, at least the previous ones, are out the way, and you can move from custodian, politician, whatever you want to call it, to like coach.
Yeah.
Now I want to see how you do the second half of the season.
Question for you.
Go ahead.
It's sort of good vibes right now. 3 wins in a row.
Yeah.
Pizza party.
Yeah.
Shout out North of Brooklyn. Sponsor me if you want to.
Man, begging for
Listen,
pizza. Listen,
I love North of Brooklyn pizza. It hurts me that I wasn't here.
Man, you know what? You know what? There is at one location in Toronto. It's
I know
at Geary.
I know. I used to have acting classes right there.
Yeah.
And so actually, we won't get into the acting class.
Oh, we'll get to that later on. Not today. Don't worry. The Greater Good.
Yeah.
Right. It's inside the bar. Yeah. There is now a poster of me.
Oh, really?
At that location that says, if you see this man, he gets free pizza for the week.
What?
So I might have to take you there.
I'm going to take a picture with you now and go.
There's a wanted poster, a pizza wanted poster. Anyway, you're saying.
No, I wanted to ask you, it's good vibes right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things you might like watch for, be concerned about when it comes, not even concerned, right? Because there's no there's no egos, there's nothing like that.
We can't pretend like everything is fixed.
Right.
Like there's still lots of things to watch out for. And I'm happy you threw it to me because we got 2 minutes, and I'm going to give you these real quickly.
Yeah.
And then you're going to hit me with your thoughts on it. Number one, I'm watching for how Emmanuel quickly plays against physicality. Because towards the end of that Pacers game, the Raptors were up double digits or whatever. Pacers started putting Andrew Nembhard on him, and really, really extending the pressure, extending the pickup points, being physical. Nembhard's really great at doing that. And I thought quickly was not effective down the stretch there. So, and I think a lot of that was the physicality. So how does he handle against physical play? Another concern, RJ Barrett, the free throws. What is going on?
I don't know, man.
He was shooting 83% with the New York Knicks from the foul line before the trade. He is a 70-ish% career foul shooter. He's down to 60% with the Raptors. And we've seen a lot of times where he misses both free throws. That's concerning to me. Okay. And then finally, Scotty has just gone ice cold from 3. He's shooting, since Pascal was traded, he's shooting 23% from 3, and it's not just like his shot diet has changed significantly, right? Because it's still, relatively speaking, similar looks, but he went from shooting 42% on wide open threes to 27%. He went from shooting 31% on open threes to 22%. He doesn't really take contested threes, which is good, but those are the things I'm concerned about. What are you seeing from those 3?
So for the IQ thing, I agree, but I think that's why Jakob is so important to IQ because he's leveling these guys on these screens.
Oh, yeah, he's crushing dudes.
Like, he's literally crushing dudes. Yeah. The seals, too, like, once IQ gets into the paint, sealing off the big man from getting a block shot. There's a stat out there. Two-man lineups, IQ and Yak is, like, one of the highest for the Raptors. For Scotty, it's just rhythm. He's taking 1.5 less threes now than he was before the trade. And I think it's just, like, finding better looks. He's a rhythm shooter. He's mentioned that. Once he attempts more shots, I think he'll get back into a little bit more of a feasible spot.
And then the RJ free throws, no one has an answer.
I have no idea.
No one has an answer.
No idea.
So, but those are things to watch for. Because again, just because they're winning doesn't mean everything is fixed.
Yeah.
Still want to see how these young guys grow and improve. But we're going to take another break. I've been your host, Willu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. Welcome back to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, William Lou. Continue to be joined by my guy, S. What's going on, man? Don't worry. One of the rookie things we're going to teach you is you got to hit on and off.
Yeah.
And it's pretty important to do that. But how you doing, man? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. As soon as I learn that, I'll be good. I'll be vibing.
We're building, We're just building.
Link and build.
Talking about footy, the two of us, Liverpool. I mean, you were in Liverpool, so you went. Like, can you explain that? Like,
man, so I was there.
What were you doing in Liverpool?
I was studying law. I was trying to be a lawyer, and that obviously didn't work out.
But yeah, I was there for like 2-3 years. Liverpool was good, but the tickets were so expensive that it was either pay rent or go to a Liverpool game.
Well, I mean, going to see an Everton match is obviously out of the question.
Yeah. No way. You know what? For one of the first experiences I ever had, I got into a taxi, and they're like, blue or red. And I'm like, yo, where am I? What is going on?
Morpheus? You got to take the, am I entering the Matrix?
Am I in South Central? What's going on? And then, they were like, yeah, it's Everton or Liverpool. Even when you go to like a shopping mall or whatever, there's one side all blue, one side all red.
Good.
And you're like, you got to pick what side you're walking on type of thing. You know what I mean? So,
well, a man who knows all about this, Marc Stein of the Stein line. Mark, well, we know which side you're on, obviously. Yeah. You're a citizen. And we will talk about that a little bit later on. But I'm reading the newsletter, and I realized, oh, yeah, that's right. You're also a Buffalo Braves fan. And so I wanted to get your history about that, because obviously that's the franchise that used to be in Buffalo and then moved to San Diego, and then eventually now to LA as the Clippers. Clippers are rebranding. But I just wanted to walk through your history of being a Buffalo Braves fan.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever I see Leo Routens, he brings up that he used to make the drive to Braves games as a kid, which is just awesome because I basically lived in Western New York for the Braves' whole existence, loved them to bits, but never got to go to a game. We lived 80 miles away from downtown Buffalo.
Damn.
And we were routinely offered tickets to the Sabres and the Braves, but the weather was so bad. The only lasting quarrel I ever had with my father, who I miss greatly every day, but our lasting quarrel was that he never said yes to the offer of tickets to make that 160-mile drive to the odd. So I had to love the Sabres and the Braves from afar. And I wrote a whole piece about it this week because with the Clippers rebrand, it just kind of brought it all back for me that, it's an amazing story. I mean, you have to be old, really old, like Leo and I to care about it. But just what happened, the Braves and the Celtics, the owners basically traded franchises. It was unprecedented. I still think it's unprecedented. It was David Stern's idea. Basically, Irv Levin owned the Boston Celtics and wanted to move his franchise to the West Coast. There was no way the league was going to let him move the Boston Celtics.
Wow.
So the Braves at the height of when they had if you go back and, again, if you guys really want to wound me and make me relive all this, but the Braves in the 76-77 season could have assembled a front line of Bob McAdoo, Adrian Dantley, and Moses Malone and threw it all away. And so one of the great sports what-ifs that no one talks about is what the Buffalo Braves could have been. First of all, they ran off Dr. Jack Ramsey, who promptly went to Portland and won a championship with Bill Walton.
Yep.
But the Braves could have had Randy Smith in the backcourt, Dr. Jack Ramsey on the sideline, and a front line of Moses Dantley and Bob McAdoo.
That's why the Clippers will never win a chip.
Incredible. And threw it all away. And basically, Irv Levin, owning the Boston Celtics, traded the Celtics to John Y. Brown. And so John Y. Brown became the Celtics owner. Irv Levin became the Braves owner and moved them to San Diego. And Buffalo has not had an NBA team since. And again, we could do hours on. In those days, college basketball had a hold on dates at the Memorial Auditorium. So they, in their infinite wisdom, the powers that be at the time decided it would be better to prioritize Canisius and Niagara basketball games over keeping the Braves. So, right before Magic and Larry came into the NBA. But as you can tell, I'm not bitter about it one bit.
Goodness, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, that is a heartbreak.
It is. I'm telling you, you guys cannot understand the depths of. I mean, seriously, just imagine in the 70s having that front line.
I mean, it's a Hall of Fame front line. And I guess, Mark, my question for you is, in the newsletter, you mentioned that as the Braves moved, you also moved to California.
Yes.
And you had that sort of opportunity to stay and become a San Diego Clippers fan, but you decided not to. I'm wondering if it's that bitterness that led you to not do that. And it's funny because you obviously covered the Clippers later on in your career. How did that all kind of come about?
Yeah, so basically, I wasn't even a teenager yet. So to really understand all this, I can't sit here and pretend like I really knew all these intricacies at that age. I mean, because I was still a young kid. I'd fallen in love with the NBA, loved the Braves, was devastated. We moved the same summer that they did, and I basically just said, you know what, if I can't have the Braves, I can't have anybody. So I never had a favorite team again. From basically that point on, from 78, 79 forward, I was kind of what you hear about NBA fans today. I had lots of different favorite players. I went through a Bernard King phase. Nice. I went through a Mark Jackson phase. So that's 2 Knicks in a row, but like I wasn't like a diehard Knicks fan. Like I never had a team again. Right. That ended up being great when I ended up on the NBA beat in 1994, and I never looked at the Clippers as a continuation of the Braves, even though they were. I mean, by the NBA record book, they are.
Yeah.
And so, but I never looked at it that way. So when I started covering the Clippers, I didn't have a favorite team. And so that made it easy to just shift into beat writer mode. And like I said, I never really had to deal with, most normal people have a favorite team, and then when they become an NBA beat writer, they have to, sever those ties and try to, make sure that they're covering things as an impartial observer. But like I said, my NBA fandom of a team, it ended in 77, 78. And it really, what's fun though now is, in recent years, like Braves retro gear has become available, and I have all kinds of. I've purchased all kinds of Braves stuff that I wasn't even available to me as a kid.
The baby blue colorway.
Oh man,
yeah.
Come on, tell me that is not a sick. Tell me a number 11 Buffalo uniform is not one of the sickest.
I agree, Mark. I'm with you. I like baby blue. I think more teams should adopt baby blue colorways, to be honest.
I miss the Nuggets powder blue.
Yes.
Carmelo.
Yes.
Chauncey Billups, Allen Iverson, that era.
Yeah, but come on, the 80s Nuggets with the Rocky Mountain skyline.
True.
That's pretty good too.
That's not. You cannot even. There's never been a better Nuggets uniform than that.
No, that's fair.
So
the jerseys have gone really simplistic.
Very.
Right. And we see the Clippers now rebrand. The new logo is like a circle with like a ship coming towards you. Your thoughts on that, Mark?
I was not wowed by the logo, I must say.
Okay.
But as I wrote, despite all this, the Clippers, I was never a Clippers fan. I'm really glad they kept the Clippers name. Like Steve Ballmer listened to the fans. Yeah. The Clippers have a small but very passionate fan base. And Clipper fans, from the moment he took over the team in August of 2014, there have been rumbles that they were going to start all the way over, rename the team. But no, the Clipper diehard fans do not want a name change, and they've stuck with Clippers. So I applaud Steve Ballmer for listening to his fans.
Do you like the whole minimalistic trend? I mean, we just talked about the Nuggets jerseys and, the fact that in the 90s, you remember, obviously, the old school Raptors jersey and whatnot. Do you kind of miss
one of the reasons I love the Raptors show is that your guys' show logo is it's old school.
Right. Yeah.
You have to pay homage.
Yeah, exactly. And purple never goes out of style. You know what I mean?
So, well, it did for the Raptors. I hope they bring it back.
I am a nostalgic sap, okay? I am the most sappy nostalgist in NBA media. So anything from the 80s was the greatest. Anything from the 70s was even better. And I'm just irrational like that. So the new stuff, they're not marketing it for me. Yeah. And I shouldn't even be commenting on it because, I'm not a consumer. I'm not,
That's fair.
If I go to All-Star Weekend and I see a Mitchell and Ness pop-up shop and I lose my mind. And just the stuff they had in there from the 85 All-Star games, that I get giddy about. But, I'm not buying today's NBA jersey. So I really shouldn't even say.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the audience.
Fair
enough. Well, something you are very closely tied to, and in terms of just covering and being around them, Raptors play the Mavericks tonight, and Mavs have lost 2 straight.
Man, do I wish I was there? I cannot. Like I told you guys, I have not been to Toronto since pre-pandemic. Tonight would have been a great night to be there. Luka's 25th birthday.
Yeah. Yep.
Raptors pizza party. Did the Raptors have the pizza party yet?
Apparently they did here too, Mark. Apparently they did.
They're having the pizza party. It is scheduled for tomorrow. The Raptors are going to practice on Thursday, and then they're going to go to a pizza party.
Yes.
And I think Darko was like, look, guys, we can do more than pizza. But I think people have become so attached to this pizza party idea that, it's very interesting because there's a lot of incentives that you could put in, like in-season tournament. Winners get $500K. I mean, 3 games in a row, you get a pizza is like what you have maybe done.
I would have thought Soto would have won the contest, but
I think it might.
What is the best pizza? What is the most desirable pizza in Toronto?
Wow.
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yes, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
For me, it's undisputed North of Brooklyn Pizza.
Yeah, he's angling for a sponsorship.
I'm really angling for a sponsorship here, Mark. And they are the best pizza in Toronto. They have multiple locations, quick delivery, quick service. Unlike some of the other places, I'm not going to slander.
It's okay,
but
it's thin.
Yeah,
the thin slices. I feel like those are for me. What really gets you. It's the quality of ingredients.
Not much of a deep dish guy. I'm not a
deep dish. I mean, I'm not trying to eat a lasagna. I'm good. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of good picks, honestly. But I don't know, Mark. I feel like you and I don't go to the same restaurants. I might have to stick with like the $5 to $10 a slice. Not
well. See, you would be surprised because yes, I am. I do tend to be a food snob when I'm talking about NBA cities and the restaurants I want to go to. But if Darko Rajakovic called me, it would be a pea-meal bacon sandwich party at Carousel Bakery, which fits right into that $5 to $10 budget. Okay. That's what I would be. I would be doing.
I appreciate that.
Man of the people.
Mark, actually, you brought something up. I'm interested. What is the best food city in the NBA sphere?
You know what? I don't know that I can narrow it down to a city, but seriously, if I went through the 30 teams, and look, I do not travel to all 30 like I used to,
right? But
I have a very, it's funny. I just did some in-studio radio here in Dallas and was saying that, as sports writers, we don't root for teams, we root for hotels and restaurants. And so in almost every city, I have my list of 3 to 5 favorites. I just went to Indianapolis for the All-Star game, and I hit St. Elmo 3 times.
Of course.
The shrimp cocktail there is legend and a must.
It's good.
But, again,
why are you guys eating shrimp in Indianapolis?
Because, why?
It's a great steakhouse.
The sauce is that legendary. Yeah. The horseradishy cocktail sauce.
Yeah. Mark knows.
I mean, seriously, if you polled 100 NBA writers and asked them, where would you want to eat in Indianapolis? I mean, I think it would be close to unanimous that the St. Elmo shrimp cocktail would be nominated.
Wow. I can't say I'll be going to Indianapolis just to try it, but if I'm ever there, I'll keep it in mind.
That's a pricey flight from Toronto. But see, in Toronto, like I said, I mean, if I'm in Toronto for 2-3 days, I'm going to Carousel Bakery every single day. Wow. I am weeping. Did you guys ever go to Rashers?
Rashers? What is that?
No.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
You're putting me on in my own city.
Yeah, maybe.
Rashers was
Rashers.
A short-lived.
Oh, it's closed now.
Maybe one of the greatest fast food concepts I've ever heard of. They served bacon sandwiches, pea-meal bacon, American bacon, and British bacon.
Interesting.
Like genius. Absolute genius. How did that not survive? How did that not survive?
You would not believe how high rent prices are in Toronto. You would not believe. It is not good for business or for people who reside here.
It's a home run idea.
Yeah.
When I retire from sports writing, I might do that. I might open my own.
Yeah. Well, you already went out to the east end of Toronto, though. That's the thing. Like that's real
dedication.
There's another spot. Well, I mean, it's close to the area. I love 11. I love the food at 11.
11's solid. 11's good. Yeah, you could go there for a date.
Good spot to go after Raptors.
There's a Cuban spot that I also go every time I'm in Toronto. Of course, now I'm forgetting the name.
Mark, you're sounding like a foodie right now.
Is it La Cubana?
Oh, man, and it's a part of town that I should know what it's called. It's like a certain district, and I just forget. Man,
is it Ronci?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't
Could
know.
be Kensington.
Maybe Liberty
Village. Wow, Mark, honestly.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
You always said you love Toronto, but you're proving it to us right now.
Okay, but here's the other thing. If you really want to talk again, and like Toronto's one of those cities. Toronto's a city that like has zillions of fancy restaurants, but when I'm there, like Toronto is A+ in the $5 to $10 range.
Oh,
huge thing,
dude.
The hot dog street carts, like grills. They got the little grills inside them. That is clutch.
Yeah,
you don't see that anywhere in the States.
No, but Mark,
you don't see that anywhere.
When you come through Toronto, and hopefully there will be the next time you come through Toronto. I'm gonna take you to Chinatown a little bit.
Yes,
some secret spots around there.
I
got a lot of friends in that area who run restaurants. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to have the Marc Stein in the building.
Absolutely.
Well, my other now that you got my other go-to is closed. La Marche. How could they close La Marche?
Yeah. Well.
The buffet style. Listen, their crepes were incredible. La Marche.
At the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yes,
you're right. That place is awesome.
Yeah.
You're right.
Honestly, yeah. But Mark, you got to get some Caribbean food when you come to Toronto, though. Too. Yeah. That's the thing. It's out of all the NBA cities, I got to imagine the best Jamaican food is in Toronto.
Probably. Yeah.
So. Well, we didn't even talk about the
nowhere to go.
Don't worry. When you come through, let me know, man. Let me know.
Is our time up? Have we used up all our time? So we didn't talk footy either.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. What should we expect from the Mavs? I mean, they are playing the Raptors tonight.
I was worried that we used up all our time. Yes, we probably should speak about Mavericks Raptors for 2 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, just like the new look Mavs, they added Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington. The Kyrie healthy, playing again. What do you make of the Mavericks? Like, is this first off, are they going to be out of the play-in, and like, are they going to make like a
run?
A run? Are they going back to the West Conference Finals? Like, what's going on with the Mavs?
They're like everybody in the West that's in the play-in. They're dying to get out of the play-in. And that's obviously easier said than done because look who's in it as we speak. LeBron and the Lakers are stuck down there. Stephen Curry and the Warriors are stuck down there. And the Mavs, after a 7-game winning streak, and then getting ran off the floor in Indy, and then the heartbreaker they lost last night in Cleveland. Now the Mavs are stuck back down there. But look, there's no question they've improved their team. Luka is, I think he's, firmly in the MVP chase now with Jokic and SGA. And, assuming the Mavericks are full strength tonight, they won't have Dante Exum. But, Luka and Kyrie are playing really well together. When you consider where they were a year ago, they went 5-11 in their brief time together. And they really, the thought was, okay, they're going to have a training camp. They played 7 minutes together in training camp. That's it. So they didn't have a training camp either.
Okay.
And Kyrie has missed 22 games, which is a lot. But when he's been on the floor, the two of them together are absolutely dynamic. They're clicking. They're flowing. The trades is getting in Gafford and PJ Washington, as you said, it certainly addresses their need for size, their need for athleticism. So, I mean, they're a puncher's chance team in the West. I mean, you certainly wouldn't say they're one of the favorites yet, but I think they're on that list, kind of like Golden State. I don't think anybody's in a real rush to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they come into Toronto very desperate tonight because of what happened in Cleveland is still. I'm sure you guys have seen. Strus makes 4 threes in a minute, and then makes a 60-footer to win it after Donovan Mitchell banks in a 3. So that's about as brutal a way to lose the game as you could have. So they'll be desperate tonight because they're next. They close the road trip Friday in Boston, but. It's Luka's 25th birthday, and we'll see how they bounce back.
Mark, you've covered Luka for the entirety of his career now. I mean, looking at the fact that he's 25, the accolades are starting to pile up like crazy. 10,000 points. He was the fastest player since Michael Jordan to get to 10,000 points. I'm wondering, there was sort of this discussion online, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. If he were to retire tomorrow, do you think he would be a Hall of Famer?
Oh, no question. I mean, what does he have? 4 or so this season isn't over, but I think he's been all NBA first time 4 times already.
Right.
I mean, just the stock answer to this question is, already the Mavs strike gold. I always ask Cuban, how many lotteries have you won in your life? I mean, he sold broadcast.com at the absolute peak of the internet bubble to become a billionaire. Buys the Mavericks, and Dirk Nowitzki is there for Cuban basically got almost all of Dirk's 21 years with one franchise, probably a record we're never going to see again in terms of a Hall of Fame player with one team. And then now they have Doncic. And this guy, Dirk would tell you, this guy's better than me. Right. He's ridiculous. And, we just talked a couple shows ago about, Victor Wembanyama's in town. Luka Doncic is only in Toronto once a year. And, you guys will see stuff that you don't see every day. He's that ridiculously good. But ultimately, you got to win championships in this league to get the ultimate kudos. And, they haven't had anywhere near a championship team around him. They've really struggled to put a good team around him. You saw just with Brunson and a very small team, he got him to the conference finals in 2022. So he's more than capable. I have no doubt he will eventually win a championship and win an MVP in the NBA. But just the stuff he does, the talent he has, remember, people were, when he was drafted, the chatter was, this is he's already as good as he's going to be. Right. I mean, it's just laughable. It's laughable now to think about that.
Do you? It's funny you mentioned how aggressive the Mavs have been in terms of getting a contender, realizing first of all the talent and the potential of a guy like Luka, and then also being aggressive in trying to help him win the Kristaps Porzingis trade, trying to retain Jalen Brunson, although that didn't work out. Then trying to be aggressive with the Kyrie trade, and now these two trades recently. Do you think they've done enough to keep Luka content and happy moving forward? I know that, at the All-Star weekend, Nikola Jokic was like, hey, if he wants to come to Denver, that's fine by me.
I would love to see those two play together.
That would be incredible.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, well, if that happens, I'm probably moving to Denver if that ever happens. I mean, here's the thing. Only Luka can answer that question, but he has never once voiced any discontent. He generally just, whatever he has, he just plays.
Right.
But do they feel the pressure? I mean, the moves they've made tell you that they felt the pressure. They traded for Porzingis before Luka's first season was even in the books. Yeah. And then they messed the Brunson thing up so badly that they made the trade for Kyrie at last season's trade deadline. And remember, when Kyrie first became available after in the summer of 2022, when Kyrie first voiced a desire to leave Brooklyn, the Mavs were very much not interested in going after him and made that clear in the summer of 2022. By the 2023 trade deadline, they were all in to the degree of an unprotected first-round pick and Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, two guys who had contributed hugely to the team that went to the conference finals. And then this trade deadline, yes, P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford have helped. They make this a deeper team. They address needs that this team had. But the price to get those guys was significant. I mean, P.J. Washington and Gafford, are they the fourth and sixth best guys on your team? Are they the fifth and seventh best guys on your team?
About that.
The Mavericks gave up 2 firsts to get those guys. That's a lot for guys who might be, your fourth and sixth best players in the best case scenario. So yeah, they clearly feel this pressure to put a better team around him. And look, he's that good and deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you just don't want to see, speaking of them playing Cleveland, like a repeat of what happened LeBron's first time around in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
There's like Ben Wallace, Shaq, Anton Jameson. It was like, I don't know if that was the roster, man.
But I will say now in their defense, Kyrie and Luka, when they are playing at their peak, they definitely do have a LeBron and Kyrie vibe. I mean, that was the dream vision.
They had 75 combined last night. They had 75 last night.
I mean, so if they're on the floor together, they are
number one offense in the league.
And a show.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Mark, we appreciate you. All right, I'm hoping that City drops some points. I'm hoping that when you get to Anfield, you'll feel that pressure. The new stand that has been opened now finally and finalized, and there's 80,000 Reds in there. I hope you're the only blue, and you see City drop some points.
I gotta warn you now that next week on Wednesday I will be occupied. I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to, with your guys' permission, move Wednesday's appearance. Hopefully you guys are cool with me moving it to Thursday, because I may or may not be seeing Copenhagen at City.
That's going to be.
Oh wow, that's a great game.
Yeah. Wow. No, I don't think that's going to be okay. I think we're going to have to call you. No, I'm kidding. Anytime for you, Mark. Appreciate you. And thanks for all your love for the city, man. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Be good.
Thank you.
Hey, before we go to break, actually, we wanted to show you something because, I mean, absolute legend, Cabby, got to catch up with Norm Powell.
Absolutely.
Back when they were in Toronto. The Clippers, doesn't feel right that Norm's not ours anymore, but the Clippers were in town. Caught with Cabby, and they actually did a video together, which was great. So I just wanted to show this little snippet here. They're actually debating who should get the first statue with the Raptors.
Ooh.
You've referenced Kobe and D-Wade as players who you would want to model your game after for many years. Both of those Hall of Famers will be honored with statues in 2024. Which Raptor should get a statue first? And here's the list.
First?
Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry. Who should be the first Raptor to get a statue?
The first Raptor should be Vince Carter.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Kyle?
Yeah.
Why?
Because without Vince Carter, we wouldn't be what the Raptors are today. Kyle would be next.
Vince, then Kyle.
Yeah. And no disrespect, but I just think what Vince Carter meant to the city and to the game of basketball in Toronto, starting off, kind of putting it on the map and making everybody take notice. You got to respect that. He was the first one that laid the path for everything to go on today.
There you go. What do you think? You agree?
I mean,
Disagree?
yes, I agree. And, I'm sure they're going to honor him, coming up with the 30th anniversary and whatnot. I just can't believe Chris Bosh was mentioned in that category.
Yo, come on, man.
Listen, Kawhi, even put, I'm not going to get into it. Whatever. It's all good.
No, that's fine, man. Go ahead. This Chris Bosh, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. Diss a man with blood clots, all right?
Wow. That's crazy, pulling out the blood clots.
Nah, I'm kidding. That statue will be him recovering from the face injury.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to go to our break, but you can watch the full interview. It's going to be published on Sportsnet's YouTube channel. We can also find this show as well. But go watch Cabby talk with Norm. Always great to see old friends catch up. We're going to take our last break of the day. I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. Welcome back to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, William Lou. Continue to be joined by fill-in co-host Esfandiar Baraheni. How you doing, man? You feeling good?
Feeling good, feeling great, man.
We're in the last segment.
Yeah. Home run, home
chill?
stretch, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Oh, it's been chill vibes on the show today. I like it.
Yeah. What do you need me to amp the energy up? I can amp.
No, honestly, I mean, if you can. You know what? You can if you want to. Lindsay set the bar so high energy-wise. I was wearing a cowboy hat the last 2 episodes, not just 1, 2. And I don't know, man. It
was a tiny cowboy hat too.
It was regular size. It's just on my head. It's tough.
I set you up for that. That's all good.
Yeah, that's the lob, the jam. All right. Joining us for segment 4 is Sumit Arora, VP Strategy Analytics and Exports at MLSC. Sumit, we brought you in tonight because tonight the Raptors Uprising, as part of the NBA 2K League, makes a season debut, doubleheader, 3-on-3. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Of course. So I think for a lot of viewers, obviously everyone's familiar with the Raptors. Maybe not as many are familiar with just the 2K League in general and also the Raptors Uprising. But again, we wanted to sort of share the spotlight a little bit. You guys are entering season 7. I just wanted to start with just a couple of questions on the business side of it, because that was really interesting when we caught up and chatted a little bit. Just the idea of sort of how the NBA is using the NBA 2K League to even try out a couple concepts and things like that. So can you talk to me about sort of the collaboration between the NBA and the 2K League?
Yeah, great. As you know, the NBA is a very forward-thinking organization, and like a lot of professional sports organizations, we're all thinking about how to connect with that next generation of fans. And there's a digital-first fan base out there that's whether it's gaming and video games or content or other things that they're not necessarily following the same path that a lot of other traditional sports fans have had in terms of coming to games or watching broadcasts or interacting with us, the way that others might have. So there's a great opportunity for us to reach fans where they are and they're still very basketball, passionate. And so what's interesting with Take-Two, and NBA 2K is one of the most popular video games in the world. So when the NBA and Take-Two came together to launch this league, the idea was that you've got this incredible fan base around Take-Two. It sells something like 20 million, copies a year. People are playing the game. We got several 100,000 people in Canada that are playing, take NBA 2K, not always with the Raptors. So there's a chance to try to find a way to connect with them and make them Raptor fans through a game that they love and engage with them in a bit of a digital first and a different opportunity than we might be used to today.
The evolution of esports has been astronomical over the last, 10, 15 years. It's not just 2K, but there's other games out there as well. I'm wondering, how do you get the typical sports fan to get invested on the esports side with, the NBA 2K League?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for us, the reason why we're in, NBA 2K is it's familiar. We're a sports and entertainment organization. We know basketball. Right. But having Raptors Uprising as part of the Raptors family, when you have Toronto Raptors and Raptors 905, there's an extension of that now, and it's a different type of basketball for a different type of fan to engage with. But I think, there's a lot of fans out there that have kids that like to play video games. And so for, a parent who maybe can't connect with their kids through other esports that maybe aren't as familiar or as natural to them, but they're basketball fans. I know a lot of, parents that will sit and watch their kids play, NBA or soccer or hockey or something like that. And it feels familiar and it feels relatable. So I think for us, we're trying to, stay close to what we are. And it's a chance for basketball fans to appreciate a different type of basketball. But more than anything, it's a chance for us to introduce basketball to a type of fan that's looking for a lot of the same excitement and enthusiasm. And there's a way for us to bring that to them through a game that they like.
That's interesting because it's a business question across the board for all sports. But what is this next generation of customer and fan going to be? Where are they? What are they looking for? And in particular, how can the leagues and the sports go ahead and service that? Because ultimately, that's what entertainment is. Where is this next generation of fans? Is it you got to reach them on the phone? You got to reach them through the video game? You got to reach them through social? How are you getting these people to become the next generation of basketball, fans?
I think it's one thing I would say too. It's not just a young fan. I think it's all of us. We're all hyper connected now. And I think the NBA is a good example. Think about, the free agency, July 1st, or think about how much of the culture of basketball now is not just about what happens on the court, during 82 games a year or the playoffs, but the culture is the fashion, the league fits on the runway before the game, or the music. Obviously we've got this great connection with Drake and OVO, and there's a ton of association with music. Food. You go to Scotiabank Arena, and we have some of the best food from all parts of the world. Probably, the most unique building, I think, in the world in terms of the diversity of the community. Yeah. So I think we're just trying to speak a love language to our fans where they can connect with us. And I think what basketball has become, it's a 365-day a year, a passion for fans of all ages. And I think what we're just seeing here is that to do this right, it's not just about bringing people to the building for a certain number of times a year. It's about trying to connect with people anytime in the way they want to connect with you and in the channels that they want to interact with you.
Yeah, the coolest thing to me is that, a guy who grows up playing video games. I was a guy who grew up playing video games, playing 2K, learning basketball a lot, and a lot of times through that, right? Now there's this generation that's doing the same thing and doing it in an amplified way. I'm wondering if that's maybe a resource for you guys, and to a different level. How do you scout these next generation of esports players to find who's going to be, that next 2K guy that you guys want to add to the Uprising?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the league and NBA 2K has done a phenomenal job. What happens is when the game comes out every fall, there's a ton of people that are playing the game. So the first thing you do is you have this incredible user base, and then there's ways to compete to get noticed and qualify for being eligible to be drafted that we participate with everybody else. But I think there's a couple of things there. You touched on this about playing the game was a way to experience the game. And we have to remember one of the other things that's incredible about gaming is it's very inclusive, because unfortunately not everybody has the physical abilities or the opportunity to even go and pick up a basketball and play on a court. And there's a lot of barriers still to sports in a lot of different ways. So one of the things that's great about gaming is you can feel connected and be part of the game and compete, like in something like a competitive model. You can compete in a game that you might not be able to in a quote unquote traditional sense. Right. I think that's one. I think the other thing is I look at what you guys do. You're incredibly savvy, knowledgeable basketball fans. You talk about X's and O's. You talk about the playbook. You talk about analytics. There's a way for fans to consume the game and also be part of the game. And as you know, basketball clubs have expanded the type of roles that sit on this side of the the fence as well. We have analytics professionals, data scientists, and machine learning specialists. We're training people a different type of skill set to be able to help the game and grow the game as much as the people that can coach or play the game themselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to move to the Raptors Uprising in particular. Regular season opener starts tonight, doubleheader, 2 games, a 3-on-3. What storyline should people be watching out for, when they try to tap in here?
I mean, we're excited. It's the start of a season. We got a doubleheader against 2 tough teams. I think, the things to keep an eye out for, we've got a fairly, new group of players. We got a couple of guys returning from last year. Our team captain, Wasim Talbert, who goes by the handle Ball Like Seam. That's one thing. What's great is you've got, gamer handles here that we can talk about these guys. We've got, Ham. There's a position in basketball, in 2K basketball, called the lock, which is like your small forward, but they're your lockdown defender, because their job is just to contain the best scorer on the other team every night. And we've got 3 new players coming back, with us this year. Crush, who's been a proven winner in this league in multiple stops. Symptoms, who's our first-round pick this year, is our shooting guard. And we're excited about Antoine Love, who's our point guard. And he's a former tournament MVP, tournament winner, champion. We've got a great new head coach, Nick Gartrell, who comes from, other stops as well. So the storyline is we've got some familiar faces to the NBA 2K League, but they're coming together as veterans on this team, ready to help us win. And, the Raptors have won Larry O'Brien. Raptors 905 won the G League championship. We want to win a championship, and we're excited about this team being the foundation for a team that we think can really contend.
No doubt. So where can people watch? And how can people watch? Because, again, I think for a lot of young people, they're like, I know where I can watch. But for a lot of older people in the audience, they're like, what are they talking about, and how can I tap in? Where is this?
You can go to Twitch. You can go to YouTube, and you can find the NBA 2K League channel. They broadcast all of the games. So you'll see our games tonight, along with a couple of others that are happening. And you can, follow us at our handle at Raptors GC on your favorite social media channel to keep an update on the schedule and see how we're doing and tune in to watch.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
And by the way, as you were the one who alerted me with this, but there's also involvement with Scottie Barnes.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Scottie's involvement in general, he announced the draft pick for Symptoms, I believe, and he's been very involved in 2K stuff in general. A big fan of the game in general. How important is that? How important is it in general for the all-star of a team to be involved and heavily invested in this?
I think it's a great question. Scottie's obviously a big fan of 2K.
Yeah.
And I think he's a great supporter of ours, and he's a supporter of the community, and he's interested in the league. And I think, like everybody else that we're trying to reach, he's a fan. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that he's a fan goes a long way, and I'm hoping to help open doors to other people. But I think you're seeing, at NBA All-Star Weekend, there was a showcase that we had NBA players competing with NBA 2K League professionals, and it was tremendously fun. So I think it's just about having fun. And a lot of NBA players are fans of the game. They like to play themselves, and we're just trying to reach them like everybody else.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Sumit, we appreciate you for joining us. We will be tapping in tonight, obviously after the Raptors play the Mavs, the scheduling conflict, everything like that. But seriously, thank you for coming on and sort of introducing audiences to, where else that they can engage with the sport of basketball itself. So I appreciate you.
Great. Thanks, guys.
All right.
New generation, man.
Dude,
I feel washed talking about that.
Honestly, you and I, we're already washed. You know what I mean? In life, 30 is not and you're not even 30, so I'm just going to round up for you.
Thank you.
But 30 is not washed. But content-wise, in terms of who people are looking after, we're maybe towards the end of that target.
You think we're getting
soon the demo is not going to be us. We're just going to be in line with old. Yeah, I don't care he's old. Shouts to Dylan Brooks. No, but I think that's the question for a lot of people. What is the new audience looking for, and how do you engage with them? And I think that this meets them on their level in many ways.
Honestly, it's a question for all of the NBA too, because
for sure,
people aren't necessarily watching an entire regular season, let alone some regular season games.
Mm-hmm.
They're mostly on their phone, catching it on TikTok or Twitter or whatnot.
People watch the 10-minute highlight clip rather than the whole game.
So
honestly, a lot of people don't even have time for that. No offense, but society has moved on to that point where it's you got a lot of things demanding on your time.
Absolutely.
How much free time do you really got?
Yeah.
You're on the go a lot. So
I think that's the most interesting thing. TVD wise, you look at what's next for the NBA. How are they going to be able to draw in the younger fan?
Yeah.
I saw a tweet
today where it was like Victor Wembanyama is the first player to reach to like 1 billion views on social media. I don't know what that necessarily means other than it just being 1 billion of something.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we gauge what kind of attracts our eyes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But on the flip side, because you also make content, but
I do,
unfortunately not for 1 billion views. But what if your content was viewed 1 billion times, man? Would you feel weird about it? Would you feel excited about it? Like, how would you feel?
I would feel...
Because imagine 1 billion people looking at you.
Yeah, that's wild, bro. That's wild. I don't know, man. Yeah, 1 billion is a lot. Like, that's...
1 billion is a lot.
That's 1/7 or 1/8 of the world population or something.
Yeah, you got like all of like India or China looking at you.
Sure,
basically.
yeah. I mean, I would love that. Tap in if y'all want to. Let's run it up. Maybe I will get that North of Brooklyn sponsorship with 1 billion.
You got more than one sponsorship. You got 1 billion eyes.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, look, turning attention then away from 2K to the game that's taking place tonight. Time now for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Take a chance. I want to take a chance to just look at the Raptors in this specific matchup. They're playing Dallas. Dallas second out of a back-to-back. Hopefully, for the fans here in Toronto, you get to see Luka, you get to see Kyrie because, you definitely want to see the best players, and this is the one time you get to see them. Raptors are actually underdogs, plus 3.5, and over-under for the game is 241. We'll see if also Jakob is available.
Yep.
He's questionable, although apparently people who went to shoot around this morning saw that he was not in a walking boot, which...
That's a great sign.
That's great. Honestly, I would love to see Liverpool players not in a walking boot these days. But in any case, what do you think of the matchup, first off, between the Raptors and Dallas?
So obviously very Jakob dependent. If you remember last Mavericks game, and like the team itself has changed as well, but the Raptors did a great job of penetrating inside, just dominating in the paint.
Pascal had a great game.
Pascal had a really great game, and no Derek Lively in that game also. So this is the first time for Raptors fans you're seeing, a rookie center who can kind of impact the game on both sides.
They've added Gafford since too.
Added Gafford, added PJ Washington, so a little bit bigger of a team. Maybe that size advantage isn't necessarily there, but you still got to get into the paint, still have to defend the paint. And the big question, obviously, folks, is going to be who guards Luka Doncic. Like, and
the
how?
question is who's not going to guard Luka Doncic because he's going to hunt every mismatch.
Yeah. I mean, he had 45 last night against the Cavs. Like, he didn't sweat. He's leading the league in points right now. Like, he's going to get to his, right? Yeah. It's just about being able to make it a little bit difficult for him. The one thing I would notice or kind of bring up is the Mavs take care of the ball extremely well. They're third in turnovers.
Play ISO, so.
Yeah, only ISO. They don't pass. You know what I mean?
They pass when it's to a shot. Yeah.
And so, like, that's the one thing I would try to focus on if you're the Raptors, who like to run in transition, who like to force turnovers, who like to try to use that to fuel their own offense.
For sure.
That might not be as available tonight because the Mavericks take care of the ball so much.
But you would want to run against this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know if Luka's running back.
Absolutely not.
I don't know if Kyrie's running back.
Oh.
So you can make your money that way. I mean, look, Jakob, the question with Jakob, I mean, it's just he's been so integral to these results that it's completely different. He's not available. But Raptors have played the Mavericks decently. If I had to guess, probably Scottie starts off on Luka. Yeah, and then Luka's probably going to call for a screen and try to attack a big or attack a small.
Yeah.
So he's probably not going to end up guarding Luka that much at the end of possessions. But to begin possessions, I think you'll see a lot of Scottie.
I always wonder about this when it comes to just in general, like those heliocentric guys like Luka. Like, would you rather just double out the gate and force the ball out of his hands and just let Kyrie or PJ Washington or whoever beat you? Or are you going to let him get exhausted, score 50, but then you're not getting everybody else going and hot? It's one or the other for most people. In the Nick Nurse era, it was always...
Oh, I know what it was in Nick Nurse era, baby.
We're taking away...
Maxi Kleber, you're getting 25 wide-open threes.
Yeah, and you could live with that. Yeah. I don't necessarily know what this current Raptors... And that's what's interesting. It's like what this new Raptors team is trying to take away from some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Can I just read you some of Luka's recent numbers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just points total-wise, okay? Because he's seen all sorts of defense,
Yeah, he's used to it. 45,
33, 41. 27-26. Okay, he was a little cold at those 2 days.
Yeah.
32, 39, 35, 19. Impressive. They beat Philly by that. So that was fine. 40, 45, 28, 73. And it goes on like that. it's So.
Yeah. And by the way, that 45,
whatever you want, honestly, he's still gonna kill you.
That 45 was on the Cavs, who are like the second or first best defense in the entire league.
There was a lot of, if you watch the highlight compilation of Luka, there's a lot of a man wearing number 4, I believe.
Oh, second in Rookie of the Year voting?
I think a generational defender, really.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
he was getting put on a generational highlight reel.
Yeah.
By Luka Doncic. So no, that's my point though. Like, it's like Evan Mobley's a fantastic defender, and he's just looking at him. He's like, all right, I'll step back.
No, you're right. Yeah, there's not many options you can throw at Luka and him feel bothered. He's just him and Jokic. Like, they go at their own pace. They do things at their own level, at their own rate, and no one can really stop it. It's one of the most profound and confounding things in the NBA.
There's a real skill in being able to slow down.
Yeah,
you see that even with Grady these days.
Absolutely.
Know? But Luka, obviously, on a totally different level. I mean, okay, what's your pick? You back in the Raps? You back in the Mavs?
So, second night of a back-to-back for the Mavs.
Yeah.
Luka played 41 minutes last night.
It's his birthday.
A little bit. Yeah, it's his birthday too. Yeah. I don't know how that works though. Is he more angry because it's his birthday and, they lost last night, 25th birthday, he wants to have a good time, whatever. Or is he going to take a step back, relax, he's going to go have some hookah after the game type of thing? Like, is he going to go to a shisha lounge? Like, what's the vibe Luka's coming in with,
That's a question for you. My Persian brother, where should he be going?
I don't know, man. Like, is he gonna hit Hayes Lounge? Like, what is he gonna do? You know what I mean? I don't necessarily know what Luka is gonna do after the game.
I think we know what he's gonna do after the game. It's about what he's doing during the game and before.
I think that's a big question. It's like, what kind of Mavs team shows up? And I would probably pick the Raptors in this one, to be honest with you. Well rested, they're feeling good after beating Indiana.
Right.
Maybe belly full post pizza. I mean, they haven't got it yet, but you know what I mean. And I think I'm going to – are you going to go Raptors?
I picked the Raptors. Like, honestly, if we're just going by how often I pick the Raptors are the 73-win Warriors. Of course I'm going with the Raptors. Off a 3-game win streak. Keep it going. That was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Take a chance. Yeah, it'll be a fun night tonight. I'm really looking forward to getting there early, watching Kyrie's warm-up, watching Luka's warm-up. It's a great piece written over The Athletic by Tim Cato about Luka and the trick shots.
Yes.
And looking forward to it, man. Do you got a favorite Luka trick shot?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see some in Indiana?
Yes. He was doing the All-Star, like, just the crazy thing about his warm-ups is that he can go ahead and play and like do it himself, or he'll collaborate with teammates and ask his teammates to get involved too. So
what does that mean?
Like, he'll get his teammates involved in his trick shots.
Okay.
So I don't know. You just have to go and wait and see tonight, and like how he involves these guys. It's kind of hard to explain, but he'll get Tim Hardaway to be in front of him, and then like he'll put a hand up, and then he'll have to chuck it with his hook shot. It's very.
He gets his teammates to come contest his circus shots.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. It really is.
I guess if you're a teammate, you're like, I guess I just have to say yes. He's like, yeah, sure. I need to prepare for this professional game. Let me help this savant just warm up and have fun and engage with the game. No, seriously.
Slovenians, right? Like, they're gonna be out and about tonight too, I'm assuming, because one night
there's usually like a little tribute, and it's just great to see. I mean, various communities. I was once doing a React pod earlier this year, and I think they just like were chanting about Croatia, like
really,
just like all very loud, like, and they were singing the national anthem. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. And you probably would not see this in most NBA cities, but Toronto's really that diverse. I believe it was when the Clippers were in town. They did it for Zubac.
Oh right, okay,
yeah. So if that happens tonight, expect the reaction podcast to be cut short, because there's nothing I could do in that open booth when the whole speakers are blasting. But that does it for us today. I've been your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network, brought to you by Campbell's new Chunky Spicy Soup. It's time to get fired up. Make sure you find The Raptors Show where we listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the program. Thanks once again to producer Amit Mon, work producer Derek Rendale, Jennifer Rolnick, David Sis, Jared Manitat. I'll see you down at the arena. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. See you guys tomorrow.